Okay, look at it. Joseph.
You're alive, sir. I think you're alive.
Oh. Good evening. You are welcome to Trading Issues with the Guru. Oh. Oh.
Thanks, sir.
So go ahead.
Yes, sir. You're alive, sir. You're alive.
You are welcome to Trading Issues with the Guru, and today we are going to discuss a topic that I believed or I selected for the day. I was supposed to come live yesterday with this subject, but because Nigeria was to play Morocco in the semi-final, I knew I would not even be able to be speaking when my mind would be in the football pitch. So because of that, what was supposed to have done yesterday has been moved to today, and that's what we're doing. And today, the subject that I was to have discussed yesterday had been shifted for today's issue. And what we want to talk about today has to do with today's date. Today is January 15, 2026. 60 years ago, January 15, 1966, there was a historical and monumental change of event in Nigeria. It is for that reason that I reenacted January 15, 1966 to 60 years, make it exactly 60 years, and remind us of what happened on that day. And equally, to try to see if we can learn from history. Because it has been said that for those who fail to learn from history, history will have a way of repeating itself with them. But the late, our own Cicero, Chief Bola Ige, who was assassinated in his house in Ibadan at Bodija when he was serving as Nigerian Minister of Justice and Attorney General of the Federation, did not see exactly the parable, the old adage saying that those who fail to learn from history will become victims of history. But like they put it this way, it has been proved that people don't learn from history. Hence, history has a way of repeating itself. This is how, or this was how Shibola put it. So what do we want to learn today? That I had to go back to history 60 years ago exactly. Let's move ahead for a few minutes. On January 15, 1966, the first coup in Nigeria struck. The first coup in Nigeria struck. Let me begin from the beginning. Early in the year, the government ordered the Honorable Prime Minister then, Sir Abubakar Tafawa Balewa hosted Commonwealth countries in Nigeria. The Commonwealth leaders met in Nigeria at a time that Nigeria was still burning. Operation Wete had taken over the whole of Western region. And we should not forget in hurry then that Western region at the initial has its capital in Ibadan, in Lagos, Ikeja area. So the Commonwealth Head of State Conference met, spent number of days, and they were really entertained to the best of Nigerian culture of hospitality. The last member of that organization that was to leave after the conference had ended left on January 14. The Prime Minister, Sir Abubakar Tafawa Balewa, saw him at the airport as befitting of protocol. At the airport, a journalist approached him and asked him, after introducing himself, he asked him a question, said, "Sir, how comfortable were you hosting the Commonwealth when Nigeria is on fire?" Tafawa Balewa moved closer to the journalist that asked the question, asked his name, he gave his name, asked which paper he represented, he told him that he represented the Nigeria Tribune. Then he cracked jokes with him and asked him a question. Where are we now? Now that two of us are talking, where are we? The journalist answered him, at the airport, the international airport. He said, where is the international airport? Then the journalist answered that, in Ikeja. Then he asked, is Ikeja not part of the Western Nigeria you mentioned? I said, yes. It's okay. Please, where is the fire? Show me the fire here. That you asked, that was burning. So the matter was sealed like that. Tafawa Balewa saw his colleague off, returned back. By the early morning of 16, we are talking of event of less than 12 hours. Or let's put it 24 hours. By 15th of January, the coup had taken place. Unfortunately, Tafawa Balewa happened to be one of the casualties of that coup. If we pick the story from here, to remind ourselves that whatever we are doing, we should always be very, very careful. We should be watchful because there are some pitfalls here and there. The banana peel would always be here nor there. It could be anywhere. So leaders must take time to watch out for the banana peels. But before we can understand this, let us go back to 1960, when we had our independence on 1st of October. Events were good. The political parties, yes, suspicious of each other, mostly at the leadership level. We should not forget, because then you had the action group, we had the action group, we had the NCNC, we had the MPC, Northern People Congress, we had all those parties and some other smaller parties, NEPU and all what we have, because people like Aminu Kano and many other prominent politicians were around. Though suspicious, we celebrated our independence when the Nigeria flag moved. Then we started the journey of ourselves, because that was the independent. We now became independent of any other country, including the organ that held us down for years. the British Empire. Then we started the movement. But a few years into this, even as of 1963, when we attained the status of republic, one could smell rats, even if rat will not be seen. One could smell rats. And this is how we fumble, we wobble, we fumble, we wobble into the general election. By the time we came to 1964, things have gone wrong. Because in 1963, Obafemi Awolowo was charged before Justice Sowemimo's, is it tribunal I will call it now, or what? And that became immediately after declaration of state of emergency in the Western region. In my other platforms, I have explained this, and I named the Trinity of the First Republic that later ended up being Trinity of Doom. And I mentioned three names: Chief Jeremiah Obafemi Awolowo, Chief Samuel Ladoke Akitola, and Sir Abubakar Tafawa Balewa. Two started it from the same region, Obafemi Awolowo and Ladoke Akitola. They are Western region, and they are leader deputy. This is how it started. But they disagree with each other, and the disagreement now is Sanko and Prime Minister being executive prime minister, because the president, as we had it then, Nnamdi Azikiwe, was the ceremonial president. And the prime minister saw opportunity of swallowing up an opposition leader that was potentially very vigorous in what he did. Then, by the time we come to 1964, entry into 1964 to 65, Operation Wet, meaning wet as W-E-T, but then kerosene and petrol were being poured in houses, set them ablaze. People were being burnt alive because of a minor issue that started that the political leaders of then did not think so much about, believing that I own this world. It is my life. Nobody can do anything. Believing in the instrumentality of power. So when the first general election came, it was alleged that most of the election results were not what it ought to be, that they were rigged. Now, this was the beginning of it, until it got to 1966. The episode that happened at the airport, as I've just narrated. But on that 15th of January, what is called the first ever coup in Nigeria took place. And like as I said, number of casualties was not as large as the second coup, what they call counter coup, or what they call remarche coup of July 28, 1966. About 22 people were casualty of the first coup, July 15. But when the counter coup or the remarche coup happened, not less than 300 people were casualty. And because of non-focus of the political leaders that started the journey wobbling and wobbling because of their inability to read the times, to read the people, to read the mind, and to even bring a little element of fear or respect for God concerning matters that God controls life, God controls everything. The remarch coup, January, July, that's just 6 months, took away nothing less than 300 lives. Whereas the first ever coup, planned by what they call the January 8 boys, took about 22 or thereabout. These 22 included, if you don't mind, I can give you the names. I mean, I can read out the numbers. How many people planned the first coup? About 8 known majorly. But with footwork soldiers added in Lagos, maybe not up to 30. No, not even up to 15, so to say. I tell you, those who planned the first coup, led by Kadula Uzogu. Emmanuel Ifejuna, a major there, a major rank, major Nigerian. Shukuma Zogu, that's Kaduna Zogu. Timothy Owatuegu, Chris Anuforo, Don Okafo, Humphrey Shukuka, Emmanuel Wombusi, Ben Bulie, Adewale Ademoyegun. I think of all that I mentioned, it was Adewale Ademoyegun that survived longest. Or, sorry, not only surviving, but was the only non-Igbo in the planning sector of that coup. Ben Bulie, of course, he lived long. Ademoyegun, by his name, Adewale Ademoyegun, was the only one who was not a member. If you look at it, you will not be hesitating to say, was that not tribal settlement or tribal movement? You will be wrong by saying so. Unfortunately, I think the only man that was betrayed really must have been Zogu, Kaduna Zogu, Shukuma. Because the Northerners, the hierarchy of authority in the whole North, accepted him as their own son. Let me not go into the history. What I want to point there is that there was an element of tribal. Then let me ask the question. Today, is the Nigerian politics not being played along the line of tribalism and religious factor? If that is true, how much have we learned? No wonder Brigadier General retired Gordon Alabi Isama said, or called his book, Tragedy of Victory. If what we had in the beginning that led us to the turbulent waters took us through a tsunami that one cannot easily resist willingly. If those things are rearing themselves up again, about 60 years after, the question will be, Have we really learned everything? And if we fail to learn, what done us then, like missiles, will bring plane down? If it's around the corner, are we not to wash and to checkmate ourselves and remind ourselves that this was what happened that time. Let us avoid this trajectory. Let us move to this line. Because the Bermuda Triangle of there is very much within the horizon. I took tribe to illustrate it. Then let us look at the casualties of the first human casualty of the First Republic. Prime Minister Mbaka Tafawa Balewa, Premier Ahmadu Bello, Premier Samuel Ladoke Akitola, Finance Minister Festus Okotie Ebo Omimi Ejo, Ahmed Ben Musa. Ben Musa became a victim. He was the Senior Assistant Secretary of Security for Sir Ahmadu Bello. He became a victim. Hafsatu Bello is the wife of Ahmadu Bello, who was slaughtered with her husband in Kaduna. Mrs. Latifat Ademolegun, wife of General Ademolegun. General Ademolegun with his wife were shot and killed on the bed. I think the same thing happened to, what do you call him? Shodeinde, Colonel Shodeinde. Then these are civilian sector. If you move to the military, you have Brigadier Samuel Ademulegun, Brigadier Zakaria Mamalari, a very, very detribalized, straightforward officer. The first Nigerian officer to be commissioned through the rudiment. Answer Ahmadu Bello decided to pick Thomas Aguiyi-Ironsi to take command of the Nigerian army from the British instead of Mamalari, because Mamalari was the commissioned officer. General Aguiyi-Ironsi was, what did they call them? All these short course that they do, and you come into the military. People with such short courses really are not supposed to take command of the military entirely. But Sardauna of Sokoto did two things. He spoke with Mamalari, and Mamalari gave him go ahead that no, he is my senior, except that I'm the commissioned one. But I will not, because of that, suggest that no. So Mamalari surrendered that willingly. And Mamalari, for those who knew him, who spoke with him, people like David Ejo described Mamalari for me many years ago. Major General David Ejo, who was one-time chief of army staff, himself is gone long now. He described the character and the person of Mamalari, the Brigadier General. Colonel Ralph Shodeinde, I mentioned as how he was killed with the wife. Colonel Ko Mohammed, Lieutenant Colonel Abogo Legema, Lieutenant Colonel James Pan, Lieutenant Colonel Ato Ulebu, Sergeant Daramola Oyegoke, because the sergeant refused Kadna's order to storm for capturing, as it was said, Ahmadu Bello. He was removed. PC Yohana Gakwaya, Last Corporal Musa Lizu, PC Akpan Adoke, PC Hagai Lai, Philip Lawande. All these were victims. Did that action make Nigeria greater or make Nigeria less? Please. This is the reason. At my age, I am an elder statesman. I see no reason why we should sit down to tell ourselves the truth that don't take this step, because those who took this step yesterday, they had not reported to have been home till now. So don't take that step. I'm speaking in parable here. Then that was there. Then July 28, in mutiny. That was a coup, so to say. Oh, before I start that, let me report to the end that the first coup of 15th January was a coup, but it became inconclusive. People like General Aguiyi Ironsi was part of the coup. They did not let him to know anything about it. But a few things played themselves out, which I don't want to go to. Because on the night of in the evening of that January 14th, that evening, Aguiyi Ironsi had a party on board at the Delta ship, Bat 6, Apapa Wharf. So he was on board that thing with his party when the thing took place. But by the time he returned, the thing had gone a little too prolonged. And counter movement by Aguiyi Ironsi, people he put on ground, now squatted everything. That is why the person who now take command of the Nigerian military, as it were then, became Aguiyi Ironsi, who was not a part of the plan of the coup. And arrests were made. All these people were arrested, including the man who really initiated and planned with good conscience that unless we change this government. And what were the allegations? They said the politicians have become so corrupt. Because in the broadcast that was made by Shukuma Kaduna Zogu, allegations were made against the politicians that they were taking bribe of 10%. They called it 10%. Let us hope. Today, our politicians, which politician today that want to award a contract that it will be only 10% will add to it? I was discussing on the air just this Wednesday that just passed. And I mentioned a few things. Homogous. Perimeter fence around Maiduguri University was awarded at 20, what is this? Under President Muhammadu Buhari at the cost of 2 billion per kilometer of a perimeter fence. When at the same of that award, any perimeter fence to be done even in rivers, in Bayelsa, in Delta, which are water-long area, which would need technically twisted iron rod, 16 mm twisted iron rod, bucketing and fortification and all those, it will not be up to 20 million per kilometer. But that one was awarded at the time 2 billion naira per kilometer of perimeter fence. If you calculate what the profit or the percentage will be, won't you say about 300%? Today, the coastal road We have just been told not too long ago that a kilometer of that road is coming under the contract award of 7 billion per kilometer. I'm not a civil engineer. I'm not going to argue with any person. But is there any Nigerian politician today that will award contract, either the governor, the ministers, the executive, whatever, that will award the contract, and what they will take away from it will be only 10%? Let us watch it. Then the politicians of the First Republic were accused of 10% or 10%. So today, if we are now taking 300%, we should. Then this was the issue as it went. Now, the 1966 July 28 counter coup came. And like as I said, it was as a result of what happened from 1960, the way the politicians played the game. One, on the speed of overdoing or overtaking each other, pushing each other with lies, not paying respect to the ethos of politics. No ethical, no nothing, no respect, manipulations, rigging of elections. This was what accumulated gradually until it came to the declaration of state of emergency, send it to prison of opposition, and all those, until we now had January 15. So let us check the counter coup, or what they call remarche coup. That's how it is called, popularly called like that, remarche coup. The remarche coup was planned by too many officers. I will tell you. 35 officers were involved, and about 99.8% of these officers are of northern origin. I had disclosed that the first coup, about 99.8% of them were from Igbo tribe. But this second coup, 35 people were involved, officers and men. 99.9% of them were from that region. That's number one. Number two, the second coup, the first coup, about 22 people died. But the second coup had more than that. I'm not interested in going there, because what I want to bring out this night is that we should be careful, because we are building a country. If, thank God, the Fourth Republic had gone about 20, up to 25 or 20, up to 24 or 20, or maybe going to 25 years. If we can continue without breaking it, within a short time, we shall become a very respected country. So one should not do a single thing that could derail it, because this is the longest we've gone ever. Those who planned, Lieutenant Colonel Joseph Akahan, who was Commander 4th Battalion in Ibadan then, Lieutenant Colonel Murtala Mohammed, was Inspector of Signals Lagos, who later became head of state in Nigeria. Before becoming head of state, he was what did they call it? He was second chief, Commander 4, while Obasanjo was second chief, Commander rear. It was Murtala Mohammed that moved soldiers across Asaba incorrect, which led to one of the greatest disasters of any war in the world ever recorded. You have Major Theophilus Danjuma, retired and still very much alive to the glory of God, as Chief of Army Staff, who was once Defense Minister under President Olusegun Obasanjo. You have Major Abahari, Artillery, Kaduna, Major Martin Adamu, 2nd Battalion, Lagos, Major Shitu Alao, who established the Nigerian Air Force he met General John Obada, was moved from the army for the establishment of that. He and Shitu Alao co-worked until Shitu Alao plane came down near Ufusu in the circumstances that people thought very unusual. Not only that, when the body was brought for what do you call it, for postmortem, the medical doctor to do the exercise was Dr. Ademola, junior brother of Justice Adetokunbo Ademola, the first Nigerian Chief Justice of this country. The first Oluwapino of Ogboni worldwide. That the brother was the one to carry out the autopsy. And some people now met him and said, please, you are not to write the report of what you will discover. He said, I will write my report. He finished his job, and the people knew that that man was very, very stubborn. At the National Hospital, Lagos here, at the island there. He finished his report, then he was attacked. And they came with a club and all those things. It was not the era that pistols all these sophisticated guns were not very much around. Mark IV was the highest then. He was attacked and clubbed and macheted and everything. He was now bleeding. The wife now called the hospital to send ambulance that my husband is dead. This is what happened. And the matron on duty said, Madam, we cannot carry out the instruction unless we have a written letter signed by our medical organ. And that is the person that was dying at home, because it's one of the regulations. And then they now told that, okay, let our give me the instruction. I know he knows. I will carry it out. This is how the man bled to death at home when he was to carry out post. There are stories in Nigeria. Anyway, Major Shitalao, Major Musa Usman, Captain Joseph Novel Gaba, the man who announced the coup that overthrew Yakubu Gowon while he was in Ethiopia or Uganda on Africa Matters. Captain Issa Buka, Captain Ibrahim Taiwo. Captain Ibrahim Taiwo was the coordinator of the coup that brought Murtala Mohammed to power, that Obasanjo later inherited, who later became governor of Kwara State and was killed by the coup that attempted removing Murtala Mohammed. The son, of course, grew to become a major general that commanded, is it 81 battalion or so, that led soldiers to the toll gate on 20th of October 2020. Every other thing is now becoming history. Captain Baba Usman, Captain Abdul D.S.Y., Lieutenant Muhammadu Buhari, we know him. Lieutenant Ibrahim Babangida, Lieutenant Ibrahim Bako. Bako was such a very good officer. Unfortunately, he lost his life on the night of coup, 31st of December 1983, because he was the officer to take full arrest, physical arrest of Shehu Shagari. And he said he would do the job because he would be able to talk to Shehu Shagari. Shehu Shagari would listen to him, because Shehu Shagari with the father were very, very close friends. Or not to him that is not the type of news you carry to your father's friend to Ghana. But because of it made him to be the only senior officer that died in that coup. Talk of Bako. Lieutenant William Wabi, Lieutenant Maman Vasa, Lieutenant Buka Suka Dinka, who later led another coup and was executed, who led that bloody coup of that money that rattled one of the soldiers, Buka Suka Dinka, Lieutenant Colonel Yakubu Dambo, Gaba A. Dada, Gaba Duba, Mohammed Balarabe Haladu, 4th Battalion, Ibadan, because Haladu was in the 4th Battalion in Ibadan there. Of course, most of these people I mentioned already are my friends. Mostly till today, my family with the family of Haladu remain united forever and ever. My good friend, Lieutenant Malam Mahe Lasarawa, Lieutenant James Onoja, yes, Lieutenant Abdullahi Sheleng, who identified the body of Zogu when he was shot in the war front, where he identified, so this is my officer, that is Abdullahi Sheleng. Lieutenant Paul Shabri Tafa. You remember Tafa Dikobuku, who was sent to control traffic when Olusegun Obasanjo was military head of state. Tafa, who later became the first chairman of Northeast Development Commission. So that is it. I think the man is still very much around. Inshallah. Lieutenant Alfred Gom, Lieutenant Nuhu Latan, Lieutenant Jonathan Lobom, Lieutenant D.S. Abubakar, he was in Abeokuta garrison then. Second Lieutenant Sani Abasha, Second Lieutenant Mohammedu Gado Blasco, okay. Sergeant Paul Dixon, Sergeant Sabo Kwali, he was in Abeokuta. Corporal Alimi Fahim, Second Reconciliation Squadron, Abeokuta. This will be done. Why I decided to give this name was the first coup I mentioned the names of officers, and I told us that 98% were Igbo. Then I had to measure these ones to tell us that 99% of them were of the northern extraction. This was the situation we found ourselves until the Wopo and Fobo took us to the Nigeria Biafra War, the Nigeria Civil War. Not too long ago, we came out of it. And then military caution. Which part of the world that military caution is being respected? If only not in West Africa that reoccurrence is happening. So because my purpose and decision this night is to tell our leaders we should be careful. Because the place of leader, vis-a-vis sincerity of prosecuting the political atmosphere of a country, has much to do with stability. If there is no stability, it is not good. The game of winners take all, please, we should leave it. We should not go the way of Wike, who believes that he is so powerful that if it is done, the heaven will not fall. No human being should challenge heaven. And President Bola Ahmed Tinubu, the way you are going is okay, but do more. Do more, so that there shall be no reflection of exclusion in the issues. And if you can help it, though you said if the opposition parties, they are in disarray, it is your joy. No. If you can help it a little, please give a thought to one thing. Any viral democratic system that has no viral upon is tantamount to carcasses. For that reason, sir, let us check history. It is for that reason that I brought this today. 15th January 1966, 60 years ago, something happened. 15th January 2026, 60 years after, the Guru has the privilege of bringing in and to caution us that today our politics growing the dimension around tribalism, around religion. But when the thieves that are stealing our money are captured on daily basis, stealing our money on daily basis, when they come, when they are known, there is total compromise of silence between them, and they cut across all the tribes. If to do damage to us, they will conspire across all the tribes. If they want to do damage to us in stealing our money, they will conspire together across all the religions. But when it comes to who does this, they say religion this, religion that. It is not good. I hope this exercise help in checking ourselves so that this Fourth Republic will survive. If you have any comment, please drop it. I expected it to the comment. Tomorrow, by the grace of God, shall be traditional with the Guru. Tomorrow is Friday, 8 p.m. 8 p.m. The Guru shall be speaking on the reasons why we are finding it difficult to curb terrorism, banditry, call it unknown government, call it kidnappers, or whatever you want to call it. Why is it difficult that we are not able to put this behind us? The Guru will share his thought. But please prepare yourself for tomorrow. Drop your comments and we will take them together. God bless you. The Guru signs out. Bye-bye.